another Saturday where we'll bring you this program, Security Watch Africa, only on this channel, the Africa Independent Television. We'll bring you the information you need to keep your life safe and secure. The program is now christened the Security and Safety Weekly Tonic, where you get that information to keep their life secured. Welcome to the program today. Today, we had packaged a very interesting edition where we'll be discussing issues that affect the communities, you and I, because if there's no security, if there's no safety, there can't be any development. You and I will not be able to think and think of how we can advance in our chosen career. So we had a plan to have a guest here in the studio to talk with us concerning checking the increased rate of kidnapping with community engagement with security. Unfortunately, the guest will not be able to join us in the studio right now. We hope that maybe before the end of the program, he will be able to come in. But already we have, okay, as part one of the program, to bring to you that interview which we couldn't take last week because of time. That is the interview I had with the Chief of Army Staff talking about Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai in Sambisa Forest, at the sidewalks of the Sambisa Forest. After the program there, we decided to chat with us to find out, to tell us what it is like fighting this insurgency and terrorism. It's a man that is ever ready to express what it is, what is taking so far, and we must commend the Nigerian Army. We must also commend you, our viewer, for remaining steadfast in watching this program. Last week, after the report on our visit to Sambisa Forest, you have sent a lot of messages to us expressing your view. So many, we are commending the efforts of the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian military, for making sure there is peace in that region. All we are looking for, all we are praying is that there will be a lasting peace over there, so that our brothers and sisters in the Northeast will actually be relaxed and safe. Somebody told me that during the week that it's not only in the Northeast where we have problems. Yes, we may have had the issue of terrorism in the Northeast, but the situation we're having in the Middle Belt, talking about the North Central and the South area and the Southwest, issue of kidnapping is becoming disturbing. And I agree with you, because the report we got during the week, it's not palatable, it's not something we can talk about. People these days move about with fear because they do not know who will be the next victim of these kidnappers. We want to call on the authorities concerned. This is talking particularly the Nigerian police force to please redouble your efforts to checkmate these criminals, because Nigerians must move about their lawful duties. We must not move around with fears, or like somebody will say, we must not sleep with one eye closed and the other eyes open. But like I've always said on this program, you must make sure you develop security consciousness and awareness so that you'll be able to secure yourself. If you don't secure yourself, nobody, I repeat, nobody will secure you. The police cannot do that for you. They will only watch the periphery, but you must make sure that you do not put yourself on the line for criminals to be profiled. We're also informed about the robbery incident that took place in Ondo State and some other places, where some criminals trailed a customer from the bank to where he was going. A lot of issues have been said about that, but we believe that insider information must be key. It's key to that situation, because somebody must have given that information about the movement of that cash for these criminals to profile that person. So it brings us to the issue of information management. You must manage the information about your movement and about what you intend to do, so that you will not profile yourself to these criminals. I think for now, let me leave this for now. I will continue. But let's take the first part of this interview we have with the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai. is the newly commissioned shooting range here in Sambisa Forest. Yes, Sambisa Forest.
In an interview with Security Watch Africa at the command headquarters of Operation Lafia Dole, Lieutenant General Tukuru Yusuf Buratai threw more light on a number of issues, from the current state of security in the northeast to the mining of recovered territories and foreign support.
The statement by the governor, who came at the right time, and then the right person, came from the right person, and I think he knows where the state was before May 2015, and what the situation on the ground right now. If it came from the governor, definitely no one can contradict him. He has made several statements before, which hinge on even the preparation and capability of the military then. And if he will come out and say that this is the situation today, I think we should applaud him for that courage, and we should believe him also that Boko Haram has been defeated, and that's the position. Well, strictly speaking, we've now started demining the forests of the Sambisa forest, just like other areas. The areas we are concentrating now is where we are operating, where our troops have to move from one point to the other. These are the efforts we are making to create safe lanes for the troops to pass from one point to the other. But for a deliberate demining effort, it will require much resources, much more efforts, and we may even request for the civilian demining support in that regard. The mining is not restricted to the military only. There are several organizations that have been doing this. The United Nations is one, and there are other non-governmental organizations that are also involved, which actually they also work under the umbrella of the United Nations. So I think as a comprehensive effort, these bodies need to be invited to support what the military is doing right now in a limited capacity in that regard. But for our operations, we are acquiring more equipment. We have some. We're still acquiring more to see that our operations are supported by the engineer efforts, so that the IEDs that have been laid and other mines and other dangerous terrain are breached quickly, so that the troops can operate in those suspected areas. So much more effort is required, and probably the civilian efforts through the UN may be required, just the way they are supporting the humanitarian efforts by bringing relief to the affected IDPs. The Theater commander left a short while ago, and that's my directive. Said by Friday we will commence that. We are still on our ground. The position is still being held that the reorganization of the theater is ongoing. We'll continue to do it. That reorganization does not mean lowering the tempo of the operation. It does not mean stepping down the various operations we are doing, be it the counter-insurgency operation or the humanitarian support, as the case may be. But we are also reorganizing the theater command to be effective, to be much stronger, because we are getting more equipment. Procurement is ongoing, and we are still getting more equipment. And we are even raising the tempo of the operation than it is before. The issue of suicide bombing is an issue of intelligence, which we are working in collaboration with the other security agencies, and indeed some of our other sister services, and indeed with the civilian authorities, with the civil authorities, to see how this can be addressed quickly. But by and large, I tell you, it has been reduced drastically. I think the last 3-4 days there have been no any such IED attacks or suicide bomber attack, and this, we hope it will continue. They may decide to come, but we are able to take out one key area that we've been suspecting, and our troops were able to clear them in conjunction with other security agencies. So I won't say at this stage we've made breakthrough in respect of the suicide bombings and other attacks, but we've made substantial progress, and we hope it will be sustained. But just like has been said, we need to win the peace at this stage. The war has been won. We need to win the peace, and it's key. And winning the peace will involve everybody, you and me, the general public, the civilians, wherever they are. There is need to work together to expose the collaborators and indeed the perpetrators of this dastardly act, this inhuman act by the Boko Haram terrorists and their collaborators. Definitely there is no way you will say that these suicide bombers, who are teenagers, young girls, and some are then even infants, I mean, some of them are underage, can move in from wherever they were strapped into the town without the guidance of someone within the town or within the vicinity. So we still suspect that there are some sympathizers and collaborators and even some members that have sneaked, that are hiding, and they direct these would-be suicide bombers into the target areas. This we are working along with other security agencies to ensure that they are stopped once and for all. We had expected much better reaction and response by now, but I want to believe they are still working on the modalities for them to move in. But the most important one that we need is the police, and they are working hard to see that they take over most of the civil police responsibilities in the towns and some large communities or some large areas. This is very important. Once they do that, we will be relieved of some of the police duties that we are doing within the towns, so that we can hand them over to the police, the civil defense, and then we'll move deep into the bush where some of these terrorists are still hiding. The immigration, they have moved, because some of them have moved. I'm aware they are around border towns like Gamborungala. They are also moving towards Damasak and some other areas. But they are still not manning some of the border posts and some of the entry posts. But work is still in progress for them to come in. We need more policemen deployed, even in Maiduguri, in Damaturu, in Bama, in Damasak, Bubio, and the rest, Monguno, Baga. In fact, so many of those towns where we have people that have returned, they need to really take over. Apart from the regular police, the mobile police also, they're key, very important. We need them to be here. And work is on by the police to do that. We expect them to really come in quickly. I know there are concerns all over. At this stage, we really need the civil authority to come and take over its responsibilities fully in all the local governments that in the state, especially Borno State. I think the focus now is only in Borno State. Adamawa and Yobe State, they are 100% free in terms of where the local governments are. But there are still some hidden areas, some bush areas where these guys are still hiding, but we're at the same time following them. But once the police, civil defense, and other security agencies relieve us from the major towns, I assure you that our patrols will be concentrated more in the countryside, in the bushes, some hidden areas, and so on. So this are our targets. Well, first of all, I should be quick to state that whatever the position of the Amnesty International is not for an army to address. It's a national issue. Army, we are working within the confines of our constitutional responsibilities and the direction given to us by the government. So if there are opposition to procurement of weapons and other military hardwares from a group, then it is not the army to address it, but I think the appropriate government agencies that are responsible for that will be able to address that. The issue of accusation, equally, strictly speaking, we are working within our constitutional responsibilities. So whatever allegation or accusation, I think the right agency should be able to address those issues appropriately. Meanwhile, we are doing our duties. We are performing our duties as enshrined in the Constitution and as directed by the government. And we also abide by the constitutional provisions of Nigeria, the 1999 Constitution as amended, to ensure that the rights of everybody is protected. So this is quite fundamental. And throughout our training, we've been taught of these provisions on the fundamental human rights, and internationally also we're quite conversant with the international humanitarian law as well as laws of armed conflict. This every officer, every soldier has been taught, and we abide by them. We are collaborating with so many of these international agencies in ensuring that the international humanitarian law and the laws of armed conflict are adhered to strictly by our troops. So if along the course of our duties someone feels that or a group of individuals feel that rights of others are violated, it's up to them to prove it. And we know what we are doing, and definitely we will not infringe on any individual rights. And we have our own constitutional role. We have our own rules of engagement, which are in tandem with our constitution, in tandem with even the international humanitarian law and the laws of armed conflict. So we feel that if because in the course of our duties, some feel that something happened contrary to what they believe in, then and if they go beyond to call for arms embargo or denial of certain weapons or equipment to the Nigerian military, I think the government will address that appropriately, as the case may be. The appropriate government agency will address them. Plan B, I think we have operated. This accusation or this denial has been on even before the government of President Muhammadu Buhari came, before it was elected. This embargo has been on. They've been denying the military of some quite important equipment. But what happened? We still defeated the Boko Haram terrorists.
You said that's a booster to what you have been doing, and you talked about some foreign support from some. How much have these been coming to assist the fight?
Yeah, I think the statement by the U.S. is a welcome development. This was contrary to their expectation, contrary to their postulation, but today they've acknowledged the effort of the Nigerian military in the counter-insurgency operation. We're happy. It's a welcome development. And what we need now from them is to concretize that position by giving us the needed support accordingly. And they should acknowledge that by giving us all that we needed. The other countries, definitely they have something to learn from here, from Nigeria. And there are several factors.
Welcome back. In fact, I can go on and on listening to this interview because it gave a lot of insightful comments about what the war against terror in the Northeast and what has been done and what is to be done. Like he said, they are making every effort to ensure that the whole of the Northeast see peace. Yobe, Adamawa experiencing 100% peace. Boronu, about 90%, according to what the governor himself said. Like the chief of army staff did say, it's now left to the civil police, talking about the Nigerian police and civil defense corps and all that too, and the Department for State Security Services to make sure they go in and stop the suicide bombing that is taking place, because we must stop it. We must stop this suicide bombing because people still have fear. Just this morning, I got the news about 2 attempts in Maiduguri, but we're thankful to God that their motives were not successful. And so really, we must commend the Nigerian Army, we must commend the Chief of Army Staff for what they have done. Here we have a tweet here from Chinda Felix, at Chinda Felix. He said, Security Watch 97, I love the doggedness of the Nigerian Army. I want to commend PMB. I'm sure that is President Muhammad Buhari and General Tukur Buratai for non-politics. Yes, thank you, Chinda Felix, for that information. We have so many messages, but we're getting signed to leave. We'll continue next week with the part 2 of this interview, where he talked about the next phase of the war against terror. Unfortunately, our guest talking about retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Ayotunde Johnson Ogunshaki, couldn't make it to the studio as earlier expected for us to look at the checking the increasing rate of kidnapping through community engagement in security. But next week, we'll do that. We'll do justice to that topic, because it's something that is needful. You and I need to be safe for us to make any meaningful development. But permit me to talk about this book. I've been reading this book, and I think it's something that is very, very important. It's a book written by a serving police officer, Superintendent of Police Chinedu Iwozo. The book's title, Olo Akonwa. I think this is an Igbo language for the Igbo. Olo Akonwa says that it means that a home will always have a child, and a home will always have a child. It's a book that is a good read. It's a novel, but it talked about childhood experience of the Nigerian Civil War. One of the places, he said, at the outbreak of the Civil War, which hit very hard on Africa, a war theater, Iwanyanwa and his household moved back to the native land of Amaku Orodo in Mbaitolu, Niowere. If you read this, it tells you about the experience, what as a child experienced during the Civil War. And that is talking about the need for us to avoid anything that will bring war in our society, because without peace, we can't make any development. So I recommend this book for you to read, and you get more information about how it is to avoid getting into trouble. Yes, we must sign up for other programs to continue, but I'm sure that you have enjoyed the interview with Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai. If you did, join us next week so that you will get the concluding part of it, and also send us your messages through our social media platform so that we can read it on this program and pass it to the authorities concerned. Until we come here again this week, I will say bye for now and remain blessed.